Okay, so to rebate the back, just going to put an X here so that I know, yep, this is the side that I want to do. So this opening here is 17 mil. We know our board's 19 mil. The depth of this channel is 18 mil. So if we set this here, 18. Again, it doesn't need to be super accurate. It's a dog training position box. 18, 18, 18, and 18. Nice square ruler that I prepared earlier, and you can already see a little bit of the hop in that. So it's good to just square this up. Square both pieces up. Okay, we'll move to the saw. We'll rebate these down, and we'll keep going forwards. Okay, so rear of the boards have been rebated, and my piece of aluminium channel will now go nicely over. John, what can I do if I don't have the ability to rebate that? Don't worry about it, just put some dowels in it, that's fine. Buy a little bit bigger piece of channel if you want. Again, it's not a big deal, it's just the way that I decided to do it with this box. So now that we're together, probably just clamp these in for the time being, because I want to make sure that when I put that aluminium brace across the back, it's in the right spot. Nice splinter. Okay. Boards together. So what did I do to make this aluminium channel? I measured it to the width of these two boards together, which is, for reference, 385 mil. I cut it using an angle grinder. I then rounded these edges off so that there's no sharp edges for the dog or for the handler, and then I just measured in 55 mil and I drilled 2 holes. So you'll see this happen now. So I'd say that those other boards were fractionally wider than these two clamped together, because I've got probably 2.5 mil on that side and 2 mil that side. Is it a big deal? No, I just square it up, it's fine. Alright, so I'll drill 2 6 mil holes through here now, and then that will bolt the back of the unit together. We'll see how that will come together. 6.5. So 6.5 mil bit, I would say. Because otherwise you're going to be fighting every time you try to put a bolt through. Okay. One, and 2. That's us. So that's the rear of the base. Done. You can let that clamp go. It's not going anywhere. I'll leave the front on just for the time being. It'll help keep that front. But that's it. So that's the rear of the base done. What we'll do now, we'll move back to our 2 sides. So pretty simply, these have to be cut in half. So 500mm, cut it in half. Why? Because what that does is it allows for you to fade the back and then fade the front if you want, or flip it over and move the back. I don't know, look, I can't say whether or not it's really necessary, but it was just the way I decided to do it. And for sake of manufacture, easy enough to do as well. Keep the dog nice and straight all the way down. So we'll cut these in half, come back, and we'll start fitting the hinges. Sides have been cut in half. Obviously it's pretty important just that these sides don't get messed up. So I would probably suggest maybe on the bottom side you can do like a triangle, so that way you know, okay, this side goes together this way, and then same on the other side. So we probably don't want a triangle, we want a different shape. Maybe a square across, so that way you know exactly how that goes back together. Wouldn't matter a massive amount, but it's just good to do. So now we want to fit our hinges off. Alright, so this is pretty straightforward. We'll just measure a couple of spots on the front and on the back. So we might just say, what are we looking at? 60, 100, say 75, hey? Let's come in 75 mil from each adjoining end. You have to excuse the background noise. It is quite windy here today, and if I don't want my video to be blocked on YouTube in China or Iran, North Korea, I realistically can't have any background music going on the radio either, because last time I did, I got a copyright infringement about a song that was playing on the radio. So pretty funny, but so just a nice easy setting on this drill. I'm doing screw setting on 4. They don't need to be super tight, you're just going to end up stripping the timber out. It is one of the reasons though I do like to use proper timber and not like an MDF or some type of manufactured board, because it's just will last longer, and the screws have got some decent timber to bite into. Okay, so that's one. Easy as. Okay, so sides have got the hinges attached. Now we want to fix the sides to the base. So ideally, what I would like to do, or what I'm going to have to do, is put a spacer in between this bottom edge and this edge here. Just these hinges are a little bit deeper than 20 mil, so that will just bring this up and just have a small gap sitting in underneath there. So what I'll probably look at doing, I've got my square here. This square looks like it'll be about the right thickness. If I sit that in and under there and just level that up with the back, level that up at the front. So I think that should be pretty good. Maybe even be a fraction bit higher. So maybe, yeah, I guess it wouldn't have made a difference. I was just thinking if I put this hinge on this bottom part first, potentially it would have solved that issue. But I don't think so, just looking at it, it still would have been the same. So anyway, regardless, just space that up there, spacer in here. So that's 2 now, so that's my ruler. And the square. So what I want to be mindful of here as well, if I set this edge to the back, by the time I mount this one, there may be a couple of mil gap at the front, so it doesn't really matter forwards or back. It's probably better going forwards, and for the sake of 5 mil, it'll just give a little bit more length to the platform. So I want to push this up, so my left hand up here on the front, this piece of timber is flush with the front. These are touching pretty much. I might just slide it back a mil just to give it a fraction bit of clearance there. Okay, and that's that. So we'll get some screws ready. That hinge will clear, and unless you're doing it on concrete or on a hard surface, it probably won't really worry it on grass, etc. So not pre-drilling this pine's soft enough. No real need. You can just make sure you get it nice and center in the hinge. Put these screws in. If I'm worried about it maybe being a little bit out, now that the front is done, I can just slide this up. Looks good. Okay, so there's one done. Now what we'll do is we'll move to the front and do the next one. See if I can make it a little bit more visual or friendly. So what I've done is I've just flipped the box over. Just gives me a nice level surface to do this. As mentioned, I don't have 3 sets of hands or 2 sets of hands, and I'm not 100% sure Gwen would be the best help as of yet. So what we do, I'll put the tension mechanism on the rear and the catch on the front. So how I'm going to line this up is basically by eye, and don't want that quite all the way at the front, probably somewhere like that at the middle there. So I'll get a close up of that once we're done. So nice and straightforward. It's important, make sure you got a little bit of adjustment on that. So if you've got to add a little bit more tension or take a bit of tension off, you can. So I've probably got maybe 3 mil back and a shitload forwards. So that'll just ensure I can pull this nice and tight as required. Ruler. Okay, centered. What I'm going to have to actually do is just mark this, because I can't move this without it. So I'm just marking top corner, bottom corner, and what I can do is I can fold that right up, put it back to where it's got to go, and then put the screws in. Okay, and looks like that. So obviously that's a little bit loose, so we can go 2 winds, 3 winds, starting to get where we want it. Probably too much. There we go. That fraction bit more actually. Let's go 1 more. So nice and square. So what we'll do is have a look at how this works. So obviously when that's released, the back, which is this side, can fold down, or to pull the two together and make it in one solid unit, like such. Okay. Onto the front. On the front we need a piece of aluminium channel here, and also one on this side, so that the front will bolt into it. This piece that I've got isn't, if I cut it in half, it's going to be a little bit lower. Doesn't matter for what the purpose is, and I'm not going to go out and buy another length of this overpriced seat channel. So I'm just going to cut this in half, and then I'll round the top edges and also the bottom edges so that there are no sharp edges. The last thing you want is nice 90-degree cut on a piece of aluminium right here where you're going to go touching. So we'll mark this, we'll cut it in half, around the edges, we'll get it mounted, and then we can start with our final piece. Second final piece, I've got a little addition that I want to do on this one as well. So I've got 220, 225, 12, and 12. Cutting this, you can use a hacksaw, use an angle grinder with appropriate blade. I'm going to use this drop saw. Aluminium is only soft. It's not a specific aluminium saw, but for this small piece, it'll be okay. Squaring the ends up. Nice and smooth. Not going to cut anyone's hand, especially not the dog. Last thing that we want. So it's nice. Alright, so now what we want to do is we want to secure these two pieces to here. So I probably will go at the bottom. I think I'll go flush with the bottom on both sides, and that way it just makes it nice and easy. So what I'll do is I'll get a clamp, I'll remove this one, I'll get a smaller clamp from here, and just put a couple of small holes. It's pretty good, eh? Spot on almost from the start. It's nice. Alright, grab my drill, some drill bits. Make sure your drill bits are here. What I will want is a countersink bit as well, just so that the head doesn't stick out all the way. So I'm just going to put 2 screws in here. Not going to measure, just all by eye. Probably 15mm up. And not using that drill bit as it's broken. On a countersink. Countersinking will just let the head of the screw just push down a fraction bit further. So what I'll do is I'm going to grab one. Nice and firm. Okay, second one. they're not going to catch their foots on anything. Alright, so now what we want to do is we want to square these up and measure. So best way to do that, I reckon that's a square, but I'm going to need that. It's fine. So I can see this one by eye. It's probably got to be about there. So I can wedge this fraction just a little bit. Looks good. This guy I can use a square for now. Okay, so I'm looking at, I would say 348 inside to inside measurement. So I'll go grab some timber, we'll dock that up, and I've just got to chamfer the edges, and we're almost there. Okay, so rebate's been done. Just double checking how it fits, which is good. So I'm going to route the top edge and bottom edge. I'll probably do all 4 edges, to be honest, just because there's a little bit of shit, a little bit rough. Give it a quick sand, and then we'll bolt it in, and just about done. So because my board is a little bit bowed in underneath here, I'm just going to throw this clamp on one this way, just to square it up a bit. Problem with potentially doing this is when I don't have a clamp and I'm at the field trying to do it, it may be quite hard for me to do. But I'm reasonably confident there's probably enough leverage to get it done. So, and then this way, likewise, I don't want to go too. Yeah, that's not moving. That's fine. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill one hole here, one hole here. That's for the 2 M6 by 50 with the butterfly nuts, and that basically locks all of that in. So let's get started. Okay. Now, just about done. Bolt comes through from the back. Okay, so what we've got is just a little bit of interference with the washer, just because of that isn't quite centered, that hole. So that's easy. So what I'll do there, I'm just going to mark there. Mark this edge. Actually, this will be a good little test as well when I come back, just to see how much pressure. Basically what I want to do is just knock off a fraction there, knock off a fraction there. We'll go and do that on the saw and I shall return.